Welcome to Let's Talk Nigeria, the podcast where we unpack the stories, struggles, success shaping the hearts of Africa's giants. I'm your host, and each week we dive deep into issues that matter and the stories shaping Nigeria's politics, culture, entertainment, and everyday life, from the streets of Lagos to the hills of Jos. Whether you're in Nigeria or part of the diaspora, this is your space to listen, learn, and be heard. Let's talk Nigeria because the conversation starts with us.
Oh God of all creation, grant these our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nigeria. I'm your host. I'm with Chigozie today. Chigozie, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Chigozie Okoronkwo. I'm a mechatronics engineer. I currently work in an automobile field. I also have my own automobile company where we repair and consult people on their vehicles. I'm based in Nigeria. Been based in Nigeria all my life. Started bred in Nigeria fully, yeah. So I'm currently located in Lagos State, Nigeria, where I work for CFL Mobility. It's a car company, deal with everything concerning cars. So yes, that's a bit about myself.
So today our focus is the recent security measures that the president took in Benin. So the topic is based on if Nigeria's national security was threatened to take such military actions in Benin Republic. But before we start with that, let's start by discussing, as 2025 is coming to an end. Report has it that the federal government have not implemented the 2025 budget. Let's take a look at this video first.
Budget where they pass from National Assembly, any of una they follow the proceedings and the amounts where they don't pass for budget and where they allocate for various ministries with the contracts and everything. Nigerians, make I give una the clear example and illustration of waiting they go on for this country under master strategist leadership. For una to know say na real ori buruku, na express night we dey for this country under the master strategist and APC government leadership. Nigerians, this is December 2025. As we dey talk so, the federal government, President Tinubu, never submit 2026 budget, 2026 which will start in few weeks. The budget has not been submitted to National Assembly. If you think say that one bad reach, it is not even the real case. 2025 budget wey go soon end in a few weeks has not been implemented. Nigeria 2025 we just dey run am based on awuyewuye as we dey go since 2024. The 2025 budget has not been implemented. The year is ending. 2026 budget has not been submitted. But guess what? Renewed hope vehicles for 2027 re-election is ready and it's already been distributed. 2025 budget they never implement. 2026 budget.
So, what do you have to say about that, this recent reporting?
Well, I mean, it's obvious that there's nobody checkmating any of this. Nobody cares. And for it to be this, like the way it is, I mean, there are a lot of people that should actually be concerned because, I mean, for even when Buhari was there, if budget was ever delayed, you already start seeing news popping out and everybody's saying, where is the budget? And when budget comes out, people are questioning it. it will always be difficult for it to pass. But yeah, you can see that. I don't know if it's because I've been seeing and I've been hearing that Tinubu is strategic about people that he's putting in leadership. So maybe it's because there's nobody there to question whatever is happening. I mean, they're already preparing for 2027 election. If you come to Lagos, everywhere is already showing vote for Tinubu, vote for Tinubu. And it just shows that there's no checkmate in these things. Everybody is just going with the flow, and the government understands that.
But isn't that the whole point of a democracy, having people checkmate one another? Like the National Assembly, the judiciary, and the executive having the same equal power?
Yeah, yes, that is democracy. But I mean, in Nigeria, well, they always say nothing works, but each year we always see that it can actually be worse than it was last year. I mean, nothing worked last year, but this year we can see that they can actually more things cannot work, and many people are quiet about it. I don't know why, but the government that are meant to be speaking on these matters, they are all quiet about it. No water has been stirred, nothing has been done. Everyone is just calm. It's like everyone is waiting for Christmas to reach and they celebrate and we continue again. But I really don't know. But you can see that there's no much questioning about all these things. Everybody is just the people that are questioning are not in power. Maybe politicians, head of maybe one affair or so, but the people in power, they are all calm about it.
That's quite crazy. And as Nigerians are entering 2026, Nigerians are looking forward to a new tax bill or new tax law coming into place in 2026, January. How do you feel Nigerians will react once that implementation takes place starting January 1st?
Well, I mean, for one, from what I hear from my banking friends, many Nigerians have not even started reacting about it. And he said that by 2026, January 1st, is going to hit like the way NIN registration and all of those things that have happened before hit. And it's going to cost like an upstep because you won't be able to withdraw and all that. And now you now come to the point where they are requesting for more tax and they are increasing the percentage of taxes, but we are not actually seeing what they are putting it into. We're not seeing anything. Like it's even going bad. Security is terrible. Roads are getting spoiled. There's no innovation. The country is at a standstill. I mean, it has been at a standstill for a while, but the developments we are seeing are not the development that you would expect to see when you hear of a country, Nigeria, and the amount that they are generating through taxes alone.
But then again, if 2025 budget has not been implemented and this new tax law is coming into place in 2026, isn't that an issue? And won't that cause a huge stir for the Nigerian people? Because if the budget for 2025 has not been done, that means every fund that the country has generated this year has nowhere to go, or Nigerians have not seen evidence of where these funds are going to. Because I believe that paying tax means that is where the government generates their revenue from. And if you can't say the 2025 budget has been implemented and you're increasing tax for 2026, should Nigerians be expecting the same result as 2025?
To be honest, there was no result 2025. There's nothing to show that these people have actually worked the way they say they would. And I mean, there are few things that they have done. There are few things that people are praising them for. But I mean, in the lives of Nigerians, we can't actually say, okay, this is the great shift that we've made with all that is happening. And I mean, for us to not even, for them to not have implemented 2025 budget and 2026 have not even been released yet, that shows a lot of unaccountability from our government. It shows a lot, especially when it comes to a democratic system, meanwhile, whereby the people and the government should have all information hand to hand. And here we are saying that a lot of money is being gained through taxes and nothing is being done. Nothing They're not showing, oh, this is what we have budgeted our taxes for. Even if they've not brought out budgets, okay, the money that has been coming since, because obviously money has been coming in to the government's pocket. Nothing has been done about it. And there was a stir up, I think that was early this year, or was it last year, where they were saying that each state should hold their revenue and then remit to the government, to the federal state, and it caused a lot of upstairs. People were not happy about it. They were all saying, no, it should come to the federal government and the federal government will distribute it to the states. And well, I think that was what they landed at. But I mean, that can actually help some countries, because so many states are actually creating great revenues for themselves. They are creating great revenues for themselves, and they can't use it because when it goes to the federal government, what comes back to them is not what they can use. You start writing budgets. Federal government don't have a budget. Federal government does not have a budget. That means whatever state is writing as their budget is rubbish, and whatever the locals are writing as their budget is also rubbish.
That's true, though, because if the federal government cannot give citizens a reason that, okay, you're paying your tax and this is where it's going to, the states have no right to show their own budget.
Exactly.
But come to think about it, as Nigeria being a democratic state, shouldn't every state have the ability to hold on to their own revenue and give a certain percentage to the federal government? For example, if every state gives 30% of their revenue to the federal government gets 30 times 36. That's if you're excluding Abuja, because looking at it, Abuja really doesn't have any form of revenue to generate.
Yeah.
So that will still be a lot of money for the federal government, and the states will keep a huge chunk of 70% for each of their states, and each state will be liable or would have to rely on what they produce, such as the northern states having issues with alcohol and so on and so forth, but still getting funds from the sales of alcohol from the southern states. That doesn't seem fair to the whole people from that region, that another state will be enjoying the same thing they are banning or they are fighting against. Okay, so now we are moving on to the next distance. But before I do that, let me ask this question: Do you think each state should actually have access to their own funds and give whatever they can to the federal government?
Yes, I think each state should actually have their own funds, because if I produce XYZ, I should know what to do best with my XYZ. And I would be the one to give a budget of how to spend my XYZ. I mean, if you have not worked for it, you will know how to spend it. I mean, you bring out a budget and they're like, no, we can't give you this. And then there's a lot of slashing of prices and cutting down of budget to meet. So you have to now bring your petition, and then your petition has to pass through the federal government. Meanwhile, it's meant to be this percentage is what we will give you, and then we plan with what we have left. And that is not the system we are in now. Now everybody is like, you're reporting to the head, and the head will not give you whatever you have. I feel there's a lot of traditional things in our democracy, because that's how we behave at home. You know, your parents will tell you, go and write what you need. And you go, you write what you need, you come, you give them, they'll say, no, this one, you're not carrying this one to school. What do you need this for? And all of that. Meanwhile, if you're earning, you know what you put, you know what you send for savings, you know what you send to as black tax, you know what you send for whatever you want to send it as. So I feel like that is the same way to each state that producing whatever they are producing should have their budget, and then plan with their budget. At least it will be easier to checkmate each state. And because each state is seeing where their money is going to. The people there are seeing what their money is going into. So if your money is not going into the right place, you're not attacking the federal government, you're attacking your state. Well, when I'm saying attacking, I mean like questioning your state, not fiscal assault. Yes, so you are questioning your state, and you are.
It would be easy to account for that than going to
Exactly.
you in the south, you in the north, or every party you now be shouting federal government. Makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay,
So there's a lot of budget management there.
Okay. Still on. Okay, moving on. Report has it that there was an issue in Lagos State, since you say you're based in Lagos State, about moving the ports from Lagos State to Warri, and the Lagos State government kicked against it. Do you have any idea why that could be from your own perspective, your own opinion?
Well, I don't. I saw the news. I decided to ignore that news because there's been a lot of news about the port. Because I feel like Nigeria as a whole could do way better when it comes to ports. Because there could have been a port in Onitsha, major port in Onitsha. I think if you go there now, there's a setup and all that. But I think at the point, federal government said, no, this will not be a federal port. And it's only Lagos that we have a federal port. So everything comes in through Lagos and then it's distributed. Meanwhile, for a country like Nigeria that has so many states that are near the waters, why can't we have more than one port? Why can't we have even better ports? Because I mean, if you go to the ports in Lagos, that place is like, well, if you come to Lagos, I would say apart from oil company, that is one place you can actually stay and make cool cash for yourselves. And it's obvious that there's money here and it's generating a lot of revenue for Lagos as a whole. But now, if I feel the issue now is that they're just being greedy about it. It creates a better network when you have this thing spread out. If Port Harcourt has a port, if Onitsha has a port, if all these places that are near the ocean have a port that people can actually come and say, okay, yes, you won't have, if you go to Lagos, but it's so crowded, it is so, you have to schedule, you have to, okay, this is where my containers are coming in. But if these things can be distributed, these things can be, I mean, it can be well managed, but the government is not interested in that. The government is interested in keeping it in Lagos. And I think there's a lot of ties with Lagos and import and exportation. And they feel like if that should leave, it will create a huge gap, especially in their finances and in their budgeting. So, I mean, that's all I can say about it because I was not want to read that news. I don't like news about ports.
Well, but you're still in Nigeria, so it's still important whether you read it or not. But like you said, if they do move the port, people have this feeling that Lagos State will become so deserted. In the fact that people will return back to their homelands because they don't need to be in Lagos anymore for this importation. And it can also help with cost of moving things up and down. Okay, moving on. Still based on the Nigeria having its federal port in Lagos State, being Nigeria's economical hub. Now we move into the big question, which is the.
Sorry.
Okay. So, which is the coup that happened in our neighboring country, Benin Republic? And before I go on, I'm going to give my own insights on how I see things and how Nigeria is placed. During the colonization of Africa, I don't think Nigerians have come to understand why Nigeria is where it is. If you look at Nigeria, every country bordering Nigeria is a French-speaking country. Have we ever asked ourselves why is that? Is it because at one point they feel Nigeria is so powerful, so powerful that they need these countries, these French countries to suppress Nigeria? Because if to say these coups happening across these our neighboring countries did not happen and they were more aligned with French authorities or French government and Nigeria was fighting for its survival, we could have an easy blockade and it would really affect Nigeria as a country. But then again, we've seen that Niger has fallen, Chad has fallen, Cameroon. There was a protest during their election. I don't know reports. I don't know what the update is there. But we have crises on every corner of our border. And not even talk about our own internal crisis. The president, Bola Tinubu, took initiative as he entered power as the chairman of ECOWAS to try and bring back the three Sahel nations back into ECOWAS corner. And unfortunately, that didn't work out for him. And then we have a recent coup in Benin Republic, our most closest ally, because I believe that these two countries, Benin and Togo, are the closest French-speaking countries to both Ghana and Nigeria. So why is it that Tinubu took the urgency to bomb and stop the coup going on in Benin Republic? a country that doesn't really matter to Nigerians?
Okay. So, first of all, let us face the most logical explanation that we can have to it. Okay, let's put ourselves in, let's assume that Nigeria is a striving state, a striving country. So if you look at it, many African nations, either they are having a coup, or they're having bad governance, or they're having people riot and detest their governance. It has started happening. It's like a shift. It has happened before in small ways, Libra and the rest, but now you see it's happening more, and it's not something that anyone is willing to just jump in and control. So, if you ask me, I would say it was a preventive measure, just to show the world and to show Africa at large that we, Nigerians, can actually prevent a coup from happening and restore order per se. Yes, and restore the governance that was there, restore the democracy that they are, yes, that they have been staying with. So yes, I believe it was just a show of power. That's okay, just because we've allowed it happen before does not mean we cannot do anything about it. Then again, aside from that, that is like me just saying, okay, let me think from our government's head. Let me think from our government's head. And that is the most logical. We've done it before. NSAS was a period of rioting, or protest. Let me call it rioting. Protest. People, it was all around the nation, and it was serious. It was actually the first time Nigeria didn't care about tribalism. They didn't care about wherever you are from, north, east, whatever language you are speaking. They all came together for a united goal, and they were sponsored beyond comprehension. Everything. If you go to any NSAS place, then you don't need to eat food in your house. People were having food in their house. You just go there, you see food, you see whatever, water, drink. People were protesting peacefully, and Nigeria showed power per se. They showed power, and you saw what happened. Fear came in, and it shows that okay, fear came into Nigeria, but I think that it also awakened something in other African nations. We did it. Military have started doing it, and it's working. Coup have happened in Nigeria before. My parents said it wasn't the best of times, but things were being done. Yes, they were strict. There were a lot of, arresting and a lot of disciplinary action that was being carried out, but things were good. Like, generally speaking, things were good. Roads were being fixed. Light was there. If you are messing up, they have put you inside prison. Be you politician, be you head of state, they don't care anything. They'll put you inside prison. You sleep there. Then you sleep there 1 week. Come out, your whole brain have reset. So I think things were good. It wasn't democracy, yes, but things were good. So now we are seeing it again. These military are coming into power with their coup, and it's not like their country is suffering like we thought they would suffer, or they are going through serious military hardship like we thought they would. And it's still like a call, and they are seeing it. Governments are saying it. Governments are scared. If you know what you are doing is not good, you would be scared. Some are not scared. Some are just trying to fix order. I don't know which one Nigeria is under, but a lot of it has to do with order. I know it has to do with order. So, from the point of view, why did Tinubu send forces? I think it was just to put that in that Nigeria is African giant, and we will not tolerate all this kind of mishaps and indiscipline that's coming out from the country, undemocratic behavior that's coming out of the
country. Couldn't we have done the same thing to both Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger?
Yes,
let's not even talk about what happened in Guinea-Bissau when our former president Goodluck Jonathan was there, overseeing the election before a coup happened.
Well, yes. Well, another thing, sources say, is not official, but sources say that there was a third hand into it. There was a third hand that caused the whole thing that caused Nigeria to put their hand into it. Yes. And of course, Nigeria have not had a great relationship with Benin Republic. I mean, for Nigeria to even intercede when they are going through coup, it sounds like it's either we want something from them or there's a higher power behind it. And Nigeria has more resources than Benin Republic. I mean, you can quote me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Benin Republic have more resources than us. They don't have more land than us or more people than us. To start with, resources that everybody can see. So I don't think there's any resources that Nigeria wants from them that we are coming to say, okay, we need to like collect. If we help them, they will give us resources, or if we help them, they will give us money, or any of those things. I feel in the only motion I can say, okay, why on a playing ground is if this continues to happen, it will soon be our turn if we don't start to prevent it. So I feel it was a preventive measure for it not to happen in Nigeria. Again, there could also be a third party into it, a third party that has maybe a good relationship with Nigeria, or Nigeria owes them a favor and they got involved and asked Nigeria to show themselves.
Okay. Report has it that Benin has one of the best seaports out there, and there are three stories. Quote me if I'm wrong, please. There are three stories that came out from reasons why Nigeria had to go in and stop the coup. One is because of Nigeria's economic hub, that's Lagos State. Lagos borders Benin Republic, so it's very essential to protect our economic hub. The second reason could be due to refugees. Most people might not be acceptful of the military government and decide to leave, and they could walk into Nigeria's border unchecked, unknown, without our border customs taking note of that, especially in this trying time that Nigeria is having high insecurity. That could be the second reason. And the third reason is because the seaport in Benin supplies arms, ammunition, and so on and so forth to the armed groups in the Sahel region. So those are the three reports that states why Nigeria has going. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, for the border one, I think if Nigeria wants to fortify their border, it won't cost them as much as what they just did, financially speaking, because the news carried it that they bombed some places, and one missile bomb is like 150 million naira. I don't know how much they will need to fortify our borders, but I don't think 2 or 3 missile bombs wouldn't be enough to fortify our borders and solve whatever seaport issue that we have. But then again, yes, when it comes to ports, I know that ports plays an essential role, especially when it comes to wars and military being involved, bringing of ammunition and bringing of warheads and all of that. So yes, so when you mention that seaport, it makes sense that they would be trying to secure something, especially to defend their country. I mean, it's not in the favor of Benin. To me, I don't think Nigeria did anything that they did that day in the favor of Benin. I can say yes, they did it in the favor of themselves, maybe to prevent an outburst of undemocratic behavior, or to save their port, but or to maybe yes, also to prevent refugees from coming. But I mean, to prevent refugees, all you need to do is fortify your borders. That is all. No refugees entering again, and it won't cost as much as it costs them to actually send troops there, drop bombs there, and all that. I mean, I don't think we are great when it comes to financial discipline, but again, I believe that if border was the issue, or if port was the issue, port could have been the issue, but if border was the issue, they would have just created a border and minded their business.
Okay. Moving on. We have, like I said, with the recent protection by Nigerian government on Benin, making the coup fail, we would have had a surrounding of military governments over and everywhere around Nigeria except Cameroon. Excuse me. So does that mean to tell Nigerians or to tell Africans that democracy is not for the black man?
Well, democracy has never been for the black man. It has never been our way. When when our ancestors, when you, the only reason why it worked then was because then there was someone superseding it. There was a foreign body superseding it. But ever since they left it for Nigerians to handle it, there has never been a way for we Nigerians to actually say, okay, we want to have a democracy party. Even in, let me use my place for example, in the Igbo land, it was difficult for them to come and say, who is your leader? Because in the Igbo land, there was no one head that would come and say, okay, I'm the leader. There were elders. There was a king, but there were elders, and the elders had power over their region. And these people come together and they'll sit on a round table and they are breaking their kola nut and they are discussing matters of the kingdom. At the end, they would take their whatever they have decided together and give it to the king, and the king will decide if he's okay with it or not. But the king, before the king makes any decision, he comes to the elders. He doesn't just come out right and say, okay, this is what I want to do, and then you do it. There was process, and I think this thing works in different tribes. So you brought different tribes together, different ethnic groups, and you said, okay, work on that democracy. And you put somebody there and you said, okay, lead them in democracy. No, if you want to do it, you bring people from the region and you say, okay, this is what democracy is. Do it. We'll watch you do it. And then you nurture them. That's how you introduce democracy. To me, I don't think democracy is bad. I just think that it didn't come to Nigeria the right way. And then you now have people that have collected power, military countries surrounding Nigeria. Nigeria is still a powerful nation. It's what they did in Benin. Nobody would convince me otherwise. Now I believe strongly that Nigeria is a very powerful nation. I don't know if it's the most powerful nation in Africa, but I believe it's among the top 5 most powerful nations in Africa. Okay. Because for them to overtake a country in less than 7 hours, I mean, they are powerful. So maybe the problem is the way the rules are going, democracy and all that, the way they are tampering with constitution and nobody is speaking out. There's nobody that is there to say, okay, no, this is not how we should do it. This is how, I mean, yes, there's parliament and there's judiciary and there's all of that, legislative, but it's only the executive that we know here. So, yeah.
Okay, moving on. We have 54 countries in Africa. And if I'm not correct, I think about 7 of them are currently under military rule or have had a coup within the last 3 years, 3 to 4 years, I believe. And the majority of those coups are within West Africa. Does that mean that the West African region really relies on military rule rather than democracy? Because looking at it, it looks like democracy has never really favored any of these West African countries. And coming back to Nigeria as a whole, would a military rule be beneficial for Nigeria in tackling insecurity and ruling the people, or a democratic government is still the best position for Nigeria? Stating that if Nigeria gets it right, Africa has gotten it right.
Well, the idea of democracy is fantastic. If you think about it, if you just settle down and say, okay, I want to read about democracy, I mean, they've brought power for the people, for the people. You know, they make it sound so sweet. They make it sound like it is truly for the people. Now the question is, sorry about that. The question is, how how much of this power is given back to the people? Because right now, the only difference between the democracy we are seeing in West Africa now and the military rule is that the democracy does not have discipline. The democracy is anything you want to do, just do it. At least when military is there, you know two things is for sure. One, military people are disciplined people. If they want to be bad, they will be bad. And you will know that this one is evil. This one is from the devil himself. They want to be good, they will be good. And you will know they can even be bad and good mixed together. They will be doing good things and you will still know that okay, yeah, this one is embezzling our money, this one is collecting them. But he's good. He's building roads. These people have the interest of the country at heart. That's why the way I say military, they are trained to have the interest of the country at heart. They are trained to see the country thrive. Politicians are trained to I don't know what they are trained for, but in my head, they are just trained to take money. They are, they are trained to be on top. Let me just put it like that. They are trained to be on top. When they get there, they don't know what to do. Most of them don't know what to do. The few that do, they try their best, but there's a lot of people that don't. That's one reason I actually like what Tinubu did. People say he's putting his people. In my head, I'm saying he's putting the people that he can relate to it.
But then
If he
not
puts
democracy.
It has never been democracy. It stopped being democracy a long time ago. No, I'm telling you, because in West Africa now, if you look at it, there's no difference between what we are doing and what military people are doing. The only difference is that military are holding gun everywhere. We say we are holding gun everywhere. Police are holding gun everywhere. What's the difference? It's just that they'll be shouting democracy, vote. Okay, it's voting that is the difference. Military coup is they kill you and they become the next head of state. If you look at it, the margin is very close. The margin is very close. The only difference is that military, you are not heard. Democracy, they try to hear you, but they don't really hear all you say. Maybe small,
Maybe
tiny.
they are speaking in another language.
The only time they hear you is when they want to enter power again.
True.
That's
Okay,
the time
moving
they
on
hear you.
to the last question before I let you go. And that is the topic for today. Was Nigeria's national security threatened for Tinubu to take action in Benin Republic?
Well, the way I see it, when these people take power, let me use Burkina Faso for example now. When that guy took power, he wasn't really interested in whatever any other country had to offer him. And he wasn't really interested in who would be a threat to him. He started focusing on his people, on his country. He cut ties with the outside world and he started looking for ways to make whatever they have sell more, which is literally what any country that has resources should do. How can I sell my resources, my most valuable resources, so that I will make money out of it? Because to be honest, if I feel like when these people actually take power, they start to look at other people like low lives. I mean, I've encountered some military men. I know what they do to thieves. If you're a thief, just forget it. If they catch you, military man catch you, just forget it. It's better you go and meet them to burn you outside than for military man to catch you. He will humiliate you. You will start feeling like an animal. So I feel like if you see their picture of what they think about what their country can be, because when you hear some of these people talk, they talk like in the next 5 years, we can be better than America. That's how they talk. They don't talk, even though it's not possible. I mean, to take them more than 5 years, America was not built in a day. But they talk like it's possible. And the only reason why it's not possible for African nations now to be that powerful is because they have not actually settled down and say, okay, as a continent, what can we do different? We have the highest resources in the world, the highest. We have everything we need to strive as a continent. This is not even a country, as a continent, we have it. As a country, most countries in Africa have what they need to actually survive. So were they actually trying to be like a threat to us? To me, I don't really think so. But then again, if they were a threat, I believe that we have more internal threats than we have externally. With the terrorism, the kidnapping, all that is happening is crazy. For Nigeria to do what they did in Benin Republic, and they've not done it in Nigeria, I'm actually quite disappointed. In my mind, I always thought that we didn't have such military power. But to see that we actually have such military power and we've not done anything. The other time I saw a footage of someone, an individual, one person, who had a drone. He took it to a bushy area and he was literally seeing all these kidnappers. He was seeing them in their hideouts in the bush and all of that. And I'm like, we have more than enough resources to do this as a nation. So, I mean, before outside people will even have the privilege, because it's honestly the privilege to attack Nigeria, before they will have the privilege to attack us, I think that we might just be doing it by ourselves internally.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I do appreciate you. Once again, I hope to see you more on the show. God bless you. And most especially, God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Have a nice day.
Yes, you too.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace, oh, back to honor, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant these our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed.